Okay, I know I said I was going on to a new beam, but I lied. Well, I didn't really lie. I just can't in good conscience not cover these components of the built-up wood beam. So, here we have a beam that's made up of individual wooden pieces. It starts at 3, can go up to 4, and also 5 pieces. Sentence number 7 in the Ontario Building Code, page 149, says, except, as provided in sentence 8, where 1.5-inch members are laid on edge to form a built-up beam, individual members shall be nailed together with a double row of nails not less than 3.5 inches in length, spaced not more than 17 3/4 inches apart in each row, with the end nails located 4 inches to 6 inches from the end of each piece. We're going to stay there. We're just going to look at what sentence 8 says. Bear with me. Boosh. Sentence 8. Where 1.5-inch members are built up, 1.5-inch members in built-up wood beams are not nailed together, as permitted in sentence 7, they shall be bolted together with not less than 1/2-inch diameter bolts equipped with washers spaced not more than 4 feet on center, with the end bolts located not more than 2 feet from the ends of the members. Okay, let's have a look at our beam here. If I were to build up this beam, I would take likely 3 members, ensure that the ends of the beam are flush, and ensure that at least the top edge of the beam is flush, and I would start my nailing. 2 nails, 3.5-inch nails straight down. That means that I'm going to get all the way through this member, all the way through this member, and 1/2 inch into that guy. 2 nails every 17 3/4 inches. I'm not going to lie, I'll lay it out 16 inches on center. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the beam up and I'm going to roll it over. And I will apply the next layer on this side, which means when I nail it, I'm going all the way through this member, all the way through this member, which only had 1/2 inch worth of nails into it, and 1/2 inch into this one. I'm nailing it in this fashion to tie these pieces together. I want these 4 pieces to become one solid chunk of wood. If I have a 5th layer, I'm going to put the 5th layer on, and I'm going to nail it accordingly as well. It's important that you lay your nails out 16s from this end down. When you turn your lump over, measure 16s and back, otherwise you're going to start hitting nails on top of nails, and it's pretty hard to do that. That's a lot of nails, it's a lot of hand nailing, and here's the problem. If it's a 3-ply beam and you did 2 rows of nails all the way down, the inspector can come in and he can see by the size of the nail head that it was a 3.5-inch nail that you used, and he can look on the left side of the beam, he can look on the right side of the beam, and he can see that you've nailed it off appropriately. Now, he can see you've nailed it off both sides, but he doesn't really know what's going on in the middle. He can see that there's nails on this face, he can see that there's nails on this face. Now he really starts to potentially question things. Now you would always nail the beam together appropriately, but this is where sentence 8 almost comes in, and it's nice because you can tack this beam together with a fraction of the nails. You could do it with an air nailer, and then you can come back later and you can physically bolt it together. And when you bolt it together, the inspector can see the bolt coming in on this side and see the bolt exiting on that side. And that way you won't ever get questioned on it. So follow the Ontario Building Code on how you want to put your built-up wood beams together. You have 2 options, nailing them or bolting them. You may find that bolting them together might actually save you some time. And depending on the municipality and the inspectors that you have, get to know them so you know which way to put the beams together. All right, now before we just close out, these guys are going to sit on a beam pocket in the foundation. The beam pocket obviously has to be as wide as the beam and 3.5 inches deep. But before we move on, because built-up wood beams seem to be the widest ones that we're going to get into, it's important to note that the columns that carry these beams built-up wood beams, steel beams, or engineered beams, the column itself needs to have a base plate that is as wide as the beam. So if you're using a steel post to carry this beam, it needs to have a plate, at least a 1/4 inch plate, welded to the top of the post that is this wide. 3 inches, 6 inches, 7.5 inches. It won't count if it ends an inch shy on either end. Okay, the inspector won't pass that. So that's something that we should note with the built-up wood beams, because they are pretty wide when you get them 5 layers. That the support has to be continuous across the whole bottom. All right? Now, when you come back, I promise this time we'll talk about steel beams.